Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Trina Myers, and I am your host today for Rare Strides, our podcast to talk about rare and help make rare visible. And today we are on episode 4, and we have an amazing guest with us. We have Lisa Rahman, who is a nurse and a parent who works with Rare. And so we're just really trying to focus in and give different perspectives of individuals who either work or have rare or take care of individuals with a rare disease. So thank you for joining us today, Lisa.
Thank you, Trina. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. So, Lisa, tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get involved with Rare Strides?
As you said, I'm a parent of a 35-year-old, so an adult daughter who has numerous rare conditions. As most people who live with rare or are involved with rare understand, if you have one rare disease, there's a very high potential that you may have more. And my daughter has four rare diseases. So she has one that she was born with, and several others that were diagnosed along the way throughout her life. So her childhood was very difficult, and we didn't realize that she was actually a rare patient until she was 16. Then we found
Oh,
out
wow.
she had a congenital defect in her spine, Klippel-Feil syndrome, and then we found out later on as she became more and more ill by the time she was 26 and we thought we were going to lose her. We found out had an autoimmune disorder, and we found out she had several other rare conditions. So I became involved with rare, obviously, very naturally and organically as a mother, trying to keep my daughter alive. I know this is not an unusual story, probably very typical in this community. Then I became a nurse, very involved in the neuroscience space, and naturally gravitated toward rare with that being my interest. I got involved with Rare Strides when I was working as a National Resource Center director at the Spina Bifida Association here in the United States. And I received a call out of the blue one day from Beth Wynn. And she was actually calling me about her nonprofit organization worldwide. And I was just intrigued by Beth, enchanted by Beth, as most people are. And
Absolutely.
absolutely, that's right. You meet Beth, and there's no going back, right? And
Right.
her story. And I said, I don't care what my organization does, but I'm behind you all the way wherever you go in this world and whatever you do. So I got involved with Worldwide, and then from Worldwide, of course, I joined her with Rare Strides.
Oh, yes, Beth is an amazing individual. And for those of you who don't know, she was nominated as an individual as well as Rare Strides. I was nominated for two different awards with the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce, their Small Business Award. So we can't wait to hear the outcome of that on November 3rd. So, yes, you're absolutely right. Beth is a gem, and she's just been wonderful to work with.
And a real champion in Rare.
Absolutely. The challenges, that's something that I think is important to touch on because so many of us have gone through challenges to be able to get our diagnosis. I didn't get diagnosed until I was in my 40s. And so, up until that time, it was a challenge to have physicians listen and, to be able to lead to a diagnosis. So, tell us a little bit about that perspective because you said your daughter wasn't diagnosed until she was 16.
With one of her conditions, that's correct.
Hmm.
And then she wasn't diagnosed with the immunodeficiency problem until she was in her 20s, and she was literally near death when she was diagnosed with that one. And you're exactly right. Physicians often don't understand themselves because they don't always run into a rare patient or especially an ultra rare patient. So especially when you have a child who's going through pre-adolescence or adolescence, the first questions the physician will, especially when, well, let me back up a bit. With my daughter's condition, she had a lot of opportunistic infections because she didn't have an immune system. So when they're treating opportunistic infections, so somebody who has lots of bladder infections or lots of strep or lots of pneumonia, bronchitis, tonsillitis, then the physicians are continuously um, trying to say, well, these are, growing infections, or these are part of developmental issues, or whatever, and they're just not seeing this as something out of the ordinary, so they don't send her to specialists, and they didn't treat her as a patient who needed extra care. They treated her, unfortunately, as somebody who was, just going through normal development. And so we would ask and beg for referrals to see specialists, and that didn't happen. Unfortunately, it just didn't happen. So, years later, we've got this child who's, she's having very numerous opportunistic infections. She ends up with sepsis, highly out of the ordinary, and things that should have been referred out and they never were. Then she has unnecessary surgeries, so tonsillectomies, and she has septoplasties as a teenager, and things that just did not need to happen. And then finally got her into her 20s. And, then I had to take the lead. And often parents, as you know, have to be those strong advocates where they say, okay, I'm going to take my child outside of, this, the PCP, and I'm going to take my child to specialists, and I'm going to take my child to, other states, or in our case, even other countries. We were fortunate enough that my husband was a professor who worked. So we went to Belgium. We lived in Europe. We lived in the UK, and we took her everywhere. And finally, we got answers. And
Wow.
but it was literally at a point, Trina, where she was losing her life. She had lost so much.
Right.
She couldn't eat anymore. She was infected,
Right.
and you
Yep.
you
I understand 100%. I went through those same challenges and also have an immune deficiency, so I completely get it. I was fortunate that I worked in the healthcare field, so I had that mindset to keep going forward and keep looking and have hope to find answers. And you work in the healthcare field, so that also probably gave you that push to go forward. But what about these parents, or what about these individuals who don't work in the healthcare field? My mom, just when I finally got my diagnosis, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I feel so bad. I just thought you had really bad allergies," And I'm like,
yeah,
"Geez, the strep throat is,
yes,
chronic strep's not bad allergies."
yes.
But for somebody who maybe just doesn't know what to do, or how to be an advocate for themselves or their child, what kind of words of wisdom would you have for them?
My gosh, that is probably the best question out there. Never stop asking, never stop questioning, and never stop trusting your child, because they know intrinsically, those kids know. And my daughter kept saying, Mom, I'm different. I know there's something different. And she still has pictures that she drew as a child. She has a defect in her neck that we couldn't see. And she used to draw pictures. I'm so sorry. She used to draw pictures of a snake in a bird cage. And she would say, That's how my spine feels. That's how my neck feels. And as she got older, the pain would get worse, and it would get worse until it was intolerable. And when she was a teenager and a young adult did we start to see the defect, as it took a toll on her. And of course, then it was too late, to not that we ever could have fixed it, but by then it was, the chronic pain syndromes had already set in, the dystonia had already set in.
Right.
Fact, but from the time she was a small child, she was drawing those pictures, and she was saying, There's something different about me. She had exercise intolerance. Her gym teacher didn't listen. And he would say, "Oh, she just doesn't want to run track. She just doesn't want to do, the gymnastics. She's lazy." She would have pain every day and didn't want to go to school. And yet she was a brilliant student and always an A student. And yet her teachers would say, "Why doesn't she want to come to school?" Even her primary care doctor would say, "Well, Andrea, don't you have friends?" And so she had me questioning her. And yet I tell those parents, believe your child. Listen, it's unnatural for a child to be antisocial. It's unnatural for a child to not want to participate in normal activities. It's unnatural for a child to say there's something wrong with me. And when they do, there is something wrong with them.
Yeah. Oh,
You,
I know. I recall as a child that pain very similar and just being told, oh, it's just growing pains.
that's
And,
right.
and all I kept thinking was, oh my Lord, I don't want to grow anymore. This is horrible.
Horrible.
Yeah. And then I just got to think that, okay, well, this must be normal. I thought everybody went through those pains, but
But you
came to
found
find out,
where
no.
you were right. You were suffering and nobody else knew it.
Yeah. Now, you said something very profound that I don't think people think about. You said her teachers and her PE teacher. I think that sometimes we forget about those individuals and them becoming an advocate for children as well and for students to be able to speak up. So I think it's about educating not only the healthcare individuals, not only about educating parents or adults, children, but also our children are in school more than they are anywhere else. And so taking that next level and educating our educators about rare diseases as well. What are your thoughts about that?
Oh, I think that's an excellent, excellent idea. And it's really necessary, right? So we're getting a lot of healthcare providers who are becoming interested in rare diseases and who are taking more of a proactive stance, I think, on wanting to take care of patients who have rare diseases and they want to be involved in the research. And yet, still, we have educators who don't understand. And they're in the completely in the dark. They have lack of awareness, and yet they need to be aware. And they need to support parents and they need to support their students. They need to have a clue. At least they don't need to be healthcare professionals. They be,
Right. No,
but
just understanding the challenges and how that they can support their
that's right.
students.
That's
But
right.
also, if they start recognizing these things, because like I was one of those too that I didn't like to participate in PE because of the same challenges your daughter had. And, those could be just kind of warning signs that they could bring to the parent and say, hey, you know what? I've noticed this.
That's
A
right.
lot of the parent teacher conferences tend to be their homeroom teacher or English or whatever. I don't
Right.
recall ever having physical, education teachers part of that parent teacher conference. So, they're trained in health. It's not just about sports. They are also trained in health. And again, not that they're to be a healthcare provider, but just be aware and to see the warning signs that they then contribute to those parent teacher conferences as, hey, you know what? You may want to check this out because I noticed X, Y, and Z.
Couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And I think a lot of these kids tend to withdraw because they know there's something different about them. They know that that they're either lacking or that they are suffering more than other children, but they also know that they can't participate or that they're just different. And I think just from that perspective, they stand out. And if they notice it themselves, certainly other children do, or their teachers do, or the support people in the school do. And yeah, let's educate our uh, school staff. Let's bring them into the limelight. Let's make them part of the team. I couldn't agree with you more.
Absolutely. which kind of leads into Rare Strides, or I meant Code Rare. So, can you tell us a little bit about Code Rare?
Oh gosh. So you and I are both on the same page with Code Rare, right? So that Code Rare is a wonderful thing, and I think Beth would be. In fact, I want to save much of the excitement about that for our next conversation when we have Beth involved. But of course, that involves Code Rare involves our first responders and getting them involved in. Helping people who have rare diseases and making sure that everybody's educated. And our first responders, when they come out to homes and they have any knowledge that there's somebody in the home who might have a rare disease, then those people are flagged and those people are supported by the community. They're identified. And then we know that they may be people who are going to need support in the future. So and I'm giving you just a synopsis about this big about it because I really want Beth to be involved in this next conversation. I'm just giving you a hint that Trina and Beth and I might have that conversation coming up soon.
Yeah.
Prayer is a wonderful, wonderful way for the community, especially our first responders, which is where it began. It began with a first responder, and when they come out, because they're the first people who come out to a home when there is a problem, and oftentimes, unfortunately, our rare disease patients may need an ambulance or they may need fire or police out at their home. And when they identify that there is a rare disease patient in that home, then they are the people who sort of know that those people are there, and they get to know those families, and then we sort of, I don't want to say mark them, but we identify them as
Right.
as rare disease families, and then we're there to help them, and the community can sort of gather around them and be there to help them, and um, uh, be prepared for anything that they might need. So
Right. Yeah, so Code Rare started out as a way for EMT and ambulance and emergency room, but definitely could spill over into the education system, et cetera. And we have some really cool dog tags that have the QR codes on them that can lead individuals to the Code Rare and educate people on what's going on with these individuals. So we do have those available. If you are watching and you know somebody who has a rare disease or you yourself, you can go to our website and we can get those provided to you.
super
And
excited.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said that's super exciting.
I know. I need to get one myself. I've looked at the different types of bracelets, so that if something were to happen, I have pots as well. And so far I've only passed out once, but there is a high chance that I could um, be unconscious and not, people just wouldn't know what was going on. So having that dog tag with a QR code would help possibly save my life or educate individuals about what's going on with my health care. So definitely something I highly recommend our viewers to check it out. We also have some really amazing rare strides. Trying not to get my tongue tied over code rare and rare strides.
All the rare.
All the rare. That's what it's all about, is making rare visible, right?
That's right.
So we have some really cool rare stride items in our gift store, which is on our website. So please check it out. We are working on some exciting things. All of that information will be updated on our website as it continues to grow. We are working on a Rare Wish opportunity where you can gift individual a dream come true, kind of like a make a wish type of thing for the rare community. So excited about that.
Wonderful stuff. Wonderful
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So if you want to learn more about Rare Strides and the rare community, just go to our website at rarestrides.com. There's lots of great information and we are an evidence-based uh, organization. So we are very much about providing information that is supported by research, which, speaking of, Lisa,
Yeah.
I wanted to just briefly mention about the white paper that you have written.
Mhm.
So, can you tell us a little bit about it without going into too technical terms for individuals that maybe are not, they don't have that scientific background?
So that's okay because the first one was actually written by Beth. And she did that, and she basically broke down what Rare Strides is all about. And she did a beautiful job of that. So you can find the white paper on our website, and that's really we call the rare strides our, we have our secret sauce in there, which Beth does not go into, but that's all the boring stuff that nobody would be interested in anyway. But she does break down rare strides, and we believe that, every time that we make progress into the next step of where rare strides is going, that we need to have a white paper, because a white paper really just sort of gives you the blueprint of where we're going next. And we want everyone in the audience to, and those who follow Rare Strides, to see the progress that we are making. And we want that to be very research focused. And as Trina said, also very evidence based. And that white paper sort of shows you that that's what our focus is on. So the one that we're working on now is sort of the next step from that. So we're going to, the next white paper is going to be focused on Code Rare. We've got it now at the point where we can present at conferences, and we've got it in abstract and poster format, but it will soon be a white paper. And so, yes, Trina's exactly right. We're going in that direction right now. So we've submitted for nursing conferences. We're very proud of Code Rare, and it will soon be available on the website in white paper format. So,
That's so exciting.
on
Oh,
Code.
yes. And you mentioned something else that I wanted to bring up is that we are growing.
Yeah.
We are growing, and that is so exciting. I know you are also looking for some nurses to
Yes.
help you out.
We would.
Uh, tell us all about it.
So we are looking for nurses, especially for one particular area. And thank you so much, Trina, for asking about that. We have a speakers bureau. Long before COVID, of course, that was supposed to be an in-person speakers bureau, beginning in Georgia and then moving across the country. But now, because of COVID, that'll be more of a virtual speakers bureau. But it gives us a wide open opportunity to get nurses from across the country, from anywhere, those who are involved in rare, or those who have rare. We really want to recruit nurses who want to help us get families involved who have a person in the family, a child or an adult with a rare condition, to help us speak to. Typically, we like to speak to professional, us as in medical professionals, but we're also including, as Trina mentioned earlier, we'd like to speak with educational professionals, we'd like to speak with academicians, and we'd like to speak with healthcare professionals. And we want to bring families in and have the families present, and then have the nurses present. And we also are looking for nurses to help us write blog posts on rare diseases. So blog posts, our speakers bureau, help us create rare disease cards, like index cards that we do electronically, to break down rare diseases and help people learn. Anything that helps us educate the community on rare, we need nurses for. And we've started all of these projects, so they're all in flux, in motion right now. You wouldn't have to create the wheel here. All of it is moving. We just need the support, we need the people, and we need the passion.
Two more questions as a follow up with that is one, I know that we have some international um, viewers that are watching us on the other side of the world. Second of all, and so then for individuals who don't live in the U.S., how can they support? And if they are a nurse in another country, can they help? And then the second part is, I know you're also looking for health IT, and that also can be inclusive, is if they are here in the U.S. or international, how can they get involved?
So the IT part, I'm afraid I'll have to refer them to our IT team. And I'm sure that there is a place for everyone. I just can't answer that because I am a clinician and I'm an educator. Anyone who's out of the country, number one, follow us, share us, watch our videos like what Trina is doing. Trina, what you're doing is amazing here. The bandwidth and the attention that we're getting because of Trina doing these videos is just fabulous. We're already growing by leaps and bounds, and people all over the world are watching these videos. So I can't tell you how fortunate we are to have Trina Myers on board.
Oh, thank you.
Order, because she and herself is already a personality and a great supporter. So we're just so fortunate. So people from all over the world can watch Trina and these videos, and continue to follow us, continue to share, continue to like us. You can always support us financially. And I'm sure there's an opportunity to do that through Rare Strides, through our link. And you can always volunteer to help, especially if you are a healthcare professional and you want to share our resources. We also have a store where you can purchase things. We don't have a huge number of items in our store, but we certainly can purchase more and fill that store right back up if you want to purchase some Rare Strides items. We also welcome nonprofits to support us, and we look for nonprofit organizations to share materials and to join up with our team. So anything else that you'd like to do, you can reach out to Beth Wynn. She's our Chief Operating Officer, and Beth will be happy to talk to you about anything that you're interested in doing with Rare Strides.
Absolutely. And you don't have to be a Rare, you don't have to be a caretaker or a parent of Rare. If you just have a passion in your heart to help and give, you absolutely can, and learn along the way.
That's
So
right.
we're absolutely looking for any partners that are interested. Just reach out to us. It's info@rarestrides.com. You can also go to our website at rarestrides.com. So, well, thank you so much for your time today, Lisa. I don't want to take up your whole Saturday afternoon. I do appreciate you taking just a little bit of time to speak with our listeners who are wanting to learn about Rare and maybe get involved.
It has been a pleasure, Trina. Always great
Oh, thank you.
to you.
Well, I just want to wrap this up. Thank you all for viewing and stopping in to say hi. If you have comments or questions, you can always put it in the comments below and we will respond back to your questions. If you haven't been able to catch this live, just hashtag replay, and that lets us know that you've been here and checked it out. So until next time, go to our website, follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and let us know any inspirational ideas that you might have. Have a wonderful weekend, and thanks for joining.